Hello, everyone. My name is Freda Epum. I am a dark-skinned Black woman wearing glasses and silver jewelry with naturally coily hair. I'm wearing a black velvet sleeveless dress. I have a blurred background, and I am reading an excerpt from my memoir and essays, The Gloomy Girl Variety Show. And this piece is about my parents' migration from Nigeria and me dreaming of what it would be like from their perspective. The African Dream. I am watching TV with my dad. House Hunters is on. We sit together on a tattered sepia leathered couch in a 4-bedroom with 2.5 bath, eagerly waiting for the reveal of the much larger home with granite countertops and crown molding. Casually, my dad tells me of the hut that he used to live in while a commercial flashes an advertisement for tiny houses appears on the screen. How distant I feel from the life I would have but will never know. A life with electricity that comes and goes. A life my mother had fetching water for her grandmother to take a shower. A life of cars that don't obey the rules of four-way stops. A life of pink doily dresses and braids done too tight every 6 weeks or so. We moved around the time I was 8 years old, maybe 7. Dust in the desert air smelled like the early 2000s, chubby cheeks, skateboards, yellow school buses, and otter pops. Wood hoisted off the ground became stilts, became bedrooms, became memories, became nightmares. I take pictures with my siblings in front of the structure that will become another salmon-colored adobe house and a sea of salmon-colored adobe houses behind gates outside Tucson. I look out the hexagon window and see the ghost of my mother sitting in her dorm room in high school, surrounded by what must be trendy clothing, posters, hair products, and lotions. She sits with no smile, unusual then, but a habitual pose now. In the evenings, I picture every detail of my future life there. I am wearing a frilly lace shirt with Ankara fabric, and I try to taste the jollof and shea butter and sweat in the air that my dad tells me engulfs you as you step off the plane and find yourself in Nigeria. This period of imaginary Africanization fixes me, rebuilds me from broken, remolds my tongue, deconstructs the Atlantic. I zigzag across the current of the borderlands, never arriving. I wrap my hair in golden Ankara fabric, sipping on Heineken, hoping the splash as it touches my gums will change my cadence from meek to boisterous, hoping it will transform me into someone that actually likes Heineken. As a little girl, I steal my dad's wicker-like hat and pretend to be on a safari because the American school system tells me all about the country of Africa. They shrink down my continent until I can fit it into my pocket, muddying my white flower dress with this rich pigment. I color the walls with Crayola to create mirrors of other selves, shades of brown like church doors in my father's suits. He sits me down every Easter from 5 to 20, telling me fables of Jesus. I scratch my face to check for stubble and grab the glasses from his nose, adjusting my collar as if it were a tie. I play in makeup and don gold hoops, wondering when these costumes will become markers of my new identity. I sit down with my dad and he tells me proverbs. Free, where are you going? Remember this. My siblings and I all joke, making a deep voice like his baritone and say, let me tell you a story, while wagging our fingers. He tells me a story of the time he flew from LaGuardia Airport in New York, and I tell him I almost got robbed there. My mother is probably cooking in the kitchen, maybe jollof rice or egusi. This might be all over in the next decade or two, or even a few years' time. I fear because my mother connects me to a past I would have no other way of knowing. And in this sea of whiteness, of friends, enemies, and strangers, I look at her and know who I am. My mother, in her Nigerian accent, pronounces H with a strong emphasis on the consonant. As a child on Thanksgiving, I would sleep in the bed with my sister as my room was taken over by other family members. I'd lay in the dark remembering our late night conversations, and I'd feel a pain in my side. It's funny how mental stress can result in physical pain. I feel a pain of not knowing, a pain of not knowing who I am in the world of West Africa, a pain deeper than one can explain. I say that I don't have an accent, wishing that I could connect with my mother on the discrimination she faces based on xenophobia. We are both born two of everything, a two-ness of culture, two-ness of foreign and not foreign, of pain and knowing and a pain and not having. If I were to be a model daughter in an Igbo family, I would be holding a baby, 6 pounds, 12 ounces, their head tilted as I cradle a small skull and tush. The air smells of African sweat and mashed yams. I am 24 years old with my firstborn child, just like my mother. And I wonder what happens to the souls of mothers who sacrifice themselves for the sake of their children's success. I wonder what happens to her soul when she arrives in the United States, too foreign for here. I wonder what happens to her soul as goodbye is uttered to her country. I wonder whether she cried the entire flight. Thank you.